All right, guys, welcome to today's video. We're just going to jump straight into it. Obviously, if you haven't been on the channel before, welcome. My name is Andy and I am a day trader from Sydney, Australia. Forex trading is my main source of income. I have yet to see an industry that gives you so much upside for growth, so much upside for scale without scaling expenses. I've been a business person in many different realms for over 20 years, and I can tell you hands down, Forex trading or day trading absolutely saved my life. So if you're new here, stick around. I don't talk about bullshit. I get straight to the point. And I have plenty of free resources down below if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how to get started in the industry so you can change your life and live your life full of freedom, time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. These days, I only trade about 1 to 2 hours a day. That's usually in the afternoon. And the rest of the day, I can do whatever I want pretty much. And if it wasn't for my kids that tie me to, a location for a healthy amount of time of the year, I probably would be traveling nonstop. Now, a common thing that I get asked a lot is, how much can you actually make from day trading? And I'm just going to bring up a screen here. So I've got a free course and community. So if you're interested in learning how to get started in the trading industry, links down below to a school community. Inside, you'll get access to the free course. You'll also have access to something like this template, which discusses how much you can actually make day trading. So I want to see if I can zoom in a little bit there. It's probably a little bit better now. How much can you actually make from day trading? So this is the scenario that a lot of people come to us and they have no idea where to start, how much they need to get started, how much risk they're putting on, and so on and so forth. Now, bear in mind, this is for an absolute beginner. These are not the actual, like in the real world, as we progress and improve, our 1-to-1 targets, our 1 to 1.5s will change and the risk is going to be dynamic. But in the beginning, when someone is an absolute beginner and they have no idea what they're doing, this is something that's very basic to put together so they don't need to calculate things on the fly. So one of the things I struggled with at the beginning was, what lot size should I be using for the amount of money that I have in my trading account? And I used to over risk and over leverage a lot. Now, I only trade gold. So XAU USD is the only pair that I trade. Now, on that particular pair, a $4 stop loss is very comfortable. If I can't do a $4 stop loss, then I'm not really interested in that trade. Most of the time, I'm doing probably about a $2 stop loss and a $3 win, $4 win, something like that. So it's around a 1.5 RR or risk to reward, or a 1 to 2 risk to reward. But for an absolute beginner, I'd rather give them a little bit more breathing room. I use trailing stops on every single position that I have, and I only trade at high volume times. So having said that, when I'm teaching someone absolutely from scratch on how to get started, these are the sort of things that I want to get people started on so they have an idea of sort of no friction, simple scales and complex fails is the saying. So when I'm teaching someone absolutely from scratch, they might not need to use a $4 stop loss, but I've allowed a $4 stop loss as a risk amount on the trade. So if they weren't, had no clue what they're doing and they're trying to wing it and go on their own, I'm going to recommend that they use a $4 stop loss on gold. If they're in one of our higher mentorships and that you're actually trading with me, then you'll actually see my entry models, stop losses, how tight they need to be, how much breathing space they need, and so on and so forth. Gold loves to retrace a lot. It does full retracements on the lower time frames, even on the higher time frames. So risk to reward is not huge most of the time, but I leave runners to run in case there is a bigger move. But what I found was, when I was trying to get the huge RR wins, because I wanted to hit home runs all the time, I was consistently failing. as where when I started to become a little more realistic, I gave my trades a little more breathing space and had a more realistic profit target, I became a consistently profitable trader. So these are the numbers, what it looks like. So if you have a $200 account and you're going to risk $20 and you know, let's use the higher end here, a 1.5 risk to reward ratio, you're going to win $30, okay? Or you're going to profit $30. Now, if you are profiting $30 and there's $20 trading days in a month, let's say if you take 2 trades per month, so let's see what that math would look like. So $30 times 2 trades per day times 20 trading days equals, so 2 times is 60 times 20, it's $1,200. Now, if we say that we had a 60% win rate, $1,200 times 60% equals, and I'll just quickly do the math on that, $720. So as you can see, at this sort of level, you're not going to make a significant amount of money in your day trading career until you start scaling. So if you made $30, as you get to the next level, once you get to $400, the numbers change. So you're starting to risk a bit more and you're profiting a little bit more. So at the next level, the math looks a little bit different. So 60 by 2 trades per day times 20 trading days equals, so 120 times 20 is 240, 2,400. And if you did 2,400 times 60% equals $1,440. So as you can see, it's already scaling. So it really depends on where you start, how much money you have, how confident you are. Obviously, these numbers can vary, right? So our risk to reward ratio at 1.5 is not fixed. It'll always be dynamic, right? But it's going to be a good guide of where to start. Your risk amount or your risk to reward changes as you scale. So for me, I'd say that I probably on average sit between a 1.5 and a 2 risk to reward ratio. And the numbers will look very, very different. At the moment, I'm trading with 2.5 to 3 lots. Okay, so my numbers look something along the lines of this. So at 2 lots, I'm risking $800. So at 2 lots, it's $800 risk times 2 trades per day. That is my current rule, times 20 trading days equals $32,000. At 60% win rate equals 19,200. Now this is actually pretty close to where I'm at. I think I'll probably do a little bit better than this most months. But you can see at this point here, you need 10 grand in the account, right? At 10 grand in the account, you are starting to change your life. So my goal for every beginner that comes through the doors is to get them to this $10,000 point. Now, this is still quite high risk. Like risking $800 on a $10,000 account is still quite high risk. I risk $800 on a much bigger account than $10,000. I'm probably about that $45,000 account mark that I currently risk, that sort of amount. And it feels comfortable at that level. I think that once you get to this sort of level, like my goal is to get everybody to the $10,000 account so that they can start really having a fulfilled life and starting to live a good life. But as you can see, even at 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, I haven't increased the risk for our students. Our students will probably, and I think I might fill this in, is I'd probably stay at this point really until we get to maybe even $25,000. At $25,000, then I might increase my risk a little bit for a student. But you really don't need to. Like my goal when I changed into Forex trading was to make enough so I could live a good life. And for me, a good life is $15,000 a month. I well and truly smash that every single month. And this is where your life really starts to change. Now, there are other ways you can look at this. So for example, if you don't want to grind it out and flip this account slowly and surely, and it might take some time. I think it took about 3 months for me to get to, maybe longer. I think it took about 4 months to get to that level. And it was a grind, like it was a real grind. But if you don't want to do that, the shortcut is to go get funding. So funding looks a little bit different. You would have $100,000 account, for example, or how to make 10,000. Let's reverse engineer it. So how to make $10,000 a month. So if you're going to make $10,000 per month, that is 10% of $100,000 account. Now that is a very high goal for a funded account. Most people that trade funded accounts probably sit at about half that. So you might even want to be going for 5% of a $200,000 account. With obviously funding challenges and funded accounts, you've got a lot of limitations. You don't have the ability to risk as hard as you can on your personal life funds. I was a personal fan of live funds because I could withdraw as I was going. You can do that on funded accounts once you're in the funded stage, depending on which funding company you're going to. I've got a link in my description down the bottom for a funding firm that actually does do a daily payout. So once you're in the funded phase and you make profit, you can withdraw daily, which is an amazing edge against other prop firms. So if you're going to reverse engineer this, so if you need to make $10,000 at $200,000, now let's presume you had a 60% win rate. Now, win rate is something you can manipulate, right? So if you want a higher win rate, you would reduce your trade frequency, meaning you would only trade amazing A+ setups. If you don't mind the lower win rate, then your RR or risk to reward would probably be a little bit higher. So you really need to find a sweet spot that suits you. For me, I like to be a little bit active in the sense that I like to trade every day. Gold gives me opportunities every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't really see a trade. And when I feel that I don't see a trade, it's usually a losing day. So I've really got to maybe learn how to not trade those days because they're not an A+ setup day. But I like to be in the markets. I've got a bit of an addictive personality and I feel like I need to be working, which means I want to be in the market and I want to be taking a trade. So my win rate at the moment is around that 60%, and my risk to reward hovers between 1.5 and 1 to 2 risk to reward. Now, let's say 60% win rate. If you need to make $10,000, you would need to profit. So $10,000 at a 60% win rate means daily or monthly you need to actually make 16,666 times by 60% equals $10,000. So that means daily, your daily target needs to be, if we're assuming there's 20 trading days, $833. That's your profit target. Okay, so ideally you want to be making that every day, and you're going to know that some days you're going to lose, and at the end of the month you will end up with your $10,000. So how do you do that? $833. So quite easily actually. So if you were risking, if you had a $4 stop loss, and so a $4 stop loss on gold on XAU USD, and you traded 10 lots, you'd make a lot more than that. So you'd actually make $4 grand. 5 lots at 5 lots, and say you got a $4 win. Profit 40 pips. 40 pips is probably the better terminology. So 40 pips and a $4 or 40 pips. So it's $2,000. $2,000 profit. 40 pips in profit equals $2,000. So you can see now that you don't even really need these huge accounts to do that. So 5 lots is quite comfortable on a $200,000 account. On a $200,000 account, if you had a 40 pips, if you're 40 pips in profit, it'd be 2,000. If you're only 20 pips in profit, it's 1,000. So you're well and truly smashing this daily profit target of $833. And at 60%, you would well and truly beat your target. So 5 lots with a $4 stop is probably where you need to be on a $200,000 account. If you were to drop down to a $100,000 account, you would halve these numbers. So you might slightly fall short. So this is keeping in mind that we're not trying to pass the challenge. We're trying to be conservative. We're trying to be safe and try to keep the accounts as long as possible. So 5 lots on a 200K account would keep you in a very safe spot. Okay. And if you were trying to do $100,000 account, your lot size would be 2.5 lots. And that would get you to this $1,000 daily goal. A little bit less, a little bit more. But your goal would well and truly be superseded. Well and truly. So if you're looking to make $10,000 a month, they're the 2 ways you can do it. Whether it's a personal account and you start trading at 2 lots and start reducing your risk as your account grows. So keep that 2 lots very static for as long as possible. Try and really build that account. Only withdraw what you need. So if you're starting to make this sort of money, you don't need this money to live off half of this. Like I think when I was scaling and trying to grow my account, I was living off about $6K per month, meaning that any profits beyond that I kept in the account and kept it growing. So I really try to not have too high an expense. Don't make 20 grand, pull out 20 grand, go buy a watch or something stupid like that. Scale your account. Like realistically, you want to have a 6-figure account. And the faster you get there by living below your means, the better off your trading career will be. If you want to skip that, there is a lot of psychological, I guess, downfalls when it comes to trading a funded account. So trading a funded account has a lot more psychological effects on your trading. It feels very different to trading live accounts. For me personally, I found it easier to trade my live account, live money without all these restrictions. I didn't like feeling restricted. Having said that, these days, if you don't have access to a lot of capital, then funding is an awesome way to get started. It will take you to your goals a lot quicker. But everybody's different. I'm the sort of person who doesn't like to have any control over me. Probably why I've been in business for 20 years. But if you're starting out and you're really limited on funds, the funding route is awesome. Now, if you want to learn any more about trading, this is just a bit of a breakdown on how you can make $10,000 per month. Down below, click the link. It'll take you to my free community. There's a free course in there for absolute beginners. If you have any questions inside the community, drop us a question and we'd be more than happy to get round to it. Bye for now.